just... Okay. Take some of you in here so that... Hope everybody's day is going well. I'm gonna take a couple people in here. So I'm about to go over my very high level, go over my Dutch hormone results. If you've never heard of it, I will explain it to you in a second. Okay. Okay. So, hey, everybody, it is Thursday. What? When the hell did that happen? So I've posted in the group about something called the Hormone Dutch test, and I just had mine done. And I'm going to sort of start off by telling you that it's not the cheapest thing in the world to get done. So, full disclosure, it's definitely an investment, but let me just see what's up here. It's definitely an investment, but I want you to understand that, for me, anyway, it feels like it's a life or death type of situation. I take things to the extreme, obviously. I think anyone in our group does that. We're entrepreneurs or business leaders, so we tend to be extreme that way. But the thing about this test that really, I'm not shocked by the results, but I'm shocked by what the results mean. So basically what it is, and I'm just looking at my notes if you're wondering why I'm keep darting back and forth, but I joined a program it's a hormone reset program. It's a 10-week program. Cost me a couple of $1,000s. I don't know what her pricing is now. That was a summer price that I got. So within that program, there's some coaching that happens. There's 10 week of classes that you go to, like Zoom classes where she will have different speakers on, etc. But the thing that I think for me, the most important thing was the Dutch hormone result. So I've heard a little bit about it. I've never really looked too deeply into it. There's another woman that I'm friends with on Facebook that, she's a naturopathic doctor, I believe. I'm not 100%, but she uses this, thank you, Sydney. She uses this to help her patients and her clients kind of get through it. So what it actually is it tests all sorts of hormones. So the thing that I get frustrated by is that because if you're in personal development in particular, we are conditioned as a whole to make sure we power through everything. And what that looks like for me, my daughter's watching. Hi, girlfriend. I love you. Sydney, that's my baby girl. Hey, Ashley. So what that means, so in personal development, is that we condition our minds. So if you've ever heard of Tony Robbins or, Brendan Bouchard or Dean Graziosi, him less so, but a lot of the boys in the industry will say, power through it. It's your mindset, get into state. And we learn all these things about getting into state. Well, I did that for a really, really long time. And I thought I could really just, power through anything I'm feeling, power through any of the symptoms I'm having. So I do this Dutch hormone test, and man, my first reaction. So what she does is she'll do the test and then she'll do, basically a video of the results. So especially now with COVID, I'm not sure if she would typically see you in her office. She's local to me, but for right now, it's a video. She goes over it really, really detailed. So it was about 20 minutes. And at first I was pretty freaked out. I'm not going to lie. So my estrogen is high. So here, I'm just going to look at my notes. So my estrogen is elevated. My progesterone is elevated. My dopamine is down. My free cortisol is through the roof. Free cortisol is basically like my body will produce the cortisol, but it's not burning it. So it's kind of always just hanging out inside my body. And my DHEA is, I believe it's a bit also low. So all my androgens are low. My liver detox support is meh. I have no gallbladders, so that's very, very important. So what does this have to do with feminine and masculine energy? So for me, it's like, if I'm not, like, one of the things for me is weight loss. If you know me personally, I've had a struggle with this for 20 years at least. I do all the things, so please don't at me a whole bunch of suggestions. I've done them all. I have a low thyroid, I have no gallbladder, and my adrenals are shot. So I've done a lot of the things. And sometimes they work a bit, sometimes they don't. Mostly I've never been down to the weight that I was when I started this journey, and I'll go back a couple steps. I had Graves' disease when I was let me just move that. I had Graves' disease when I was 18, so just before I had my first daughter, who's watching, and it showed up for me like panic attacks constantly around the clock. I was really skinny, like skinny. My eyes bulged out a bit because I had like the overactive thyroid. I had a goiter in my throat, so all of this area was sort of puffed out quite a bit. Sometimes you could really see it. It wasn't pretty. So they tried to medicate me. I didn't know what I know about mindset. I didn't know about food yet. I didn't know about any of the stuff I know. So I was very trusting with the doctors, and I thought, okay, fine, whatever, put me on a bunch of pills. And I mean, I was on a lot of shit. And for me, it was like, when I first got diagnosed with the overactive thyroid or Graves' disease, I hadn't slept in 5 days, and I ended up in the psychiatric ward in a hospital in Winnipeg. And I remember the psychiatrist, because that's who they put me with. They didn't think it was physical. I started to explain my symptoms, and I said, well, I'm having panic attacks all the time. I talk really fast. I'm always boiling, like so warm all the time in the dead of winter. And if you know anything about Winnipeg, it's bloody cold in the winter. I had a window open, a fan going, the works. And I couldn't sleep. It was like anytime I would start to fall asleep, I'd freak out and I'd think, oh my God, I'm going to start hearing voices. And I really thought I was going insane. And so fast forward, they tried to medicate me. So the interesting part though, the doctors didn't catch the thyroid, the psychiatrist did. She said to me, do you hear voices? And she asked me kind of all the things. And I said, no, not at all. But I swear to God, I'm losing it. Like, I'm telling you, I'm schizophrenic. This is the beginning of the end of my sanity. So she said, have you had your thyroid tested? And I was like, no. And I'm trying to think back to high school, right? I'm like, thyroid, butterfly shaped something. I said, no, I've never. The doctor just tells me I'm depressed, puts me on antidepressants, and sends me on my way. And incidentally, when I went on those antidepressants, I had an anaphylactic reaction, so my throat started to shut on Paxil, actually. Widely prescribed at the time. I don't know if it is anymore. So for a bunch of years, I struggled trying to get it in line so that I wouldn't feel sick all the time. I didn't want to feel quick all the time. I mean, I lost jobs because of my thyroid. No kidding. And if I'd known what it was, and I could have said to the employer, listen, my thyroid's overactive. That's why, because I would be very like all the time, fast and very aggressive, like way worse than now. This is more natural. But I was like super like Speedy Gonzalez. And anyway, so they tried to medicate me and try to lower my things, and nothing was really working. And so over time, after I had my daughter, who's now 19, they said, well, why don't you do radioactive iodine? If any of you are listening that have thyroid problems, and any doctor suggests, so if it's overactive, and I do have some friends that have done who have an overactive thyroid, do not do radioactive iodine. Because and this is what I'm going to get to about the hormones. The odds of your thyroid being unregulated, high or low, are food, gut related, all diet related, stress management, all of those things. It's not even a real, and that's what I've learned through this process of this hormone test. It's not even a real, like everything starts in our bodies. I believe that very firmly, but this one in particular, your thyroid is the boss of everything in your body. And if it's off, the rest of it's going to be off. So I did this radioactive iodine when I was 23 or 24. So basically for 20 years, I put 50 pounds on, and I've been struggling with those same 50 pounds this whole time. So I get the test, and this hormone test that I just get. So it's showing me that everything in my hormonal body, outside of like, I'm just looking here, like really, like one of my estrogens is normal out of the three. So there you have elevated estrogen, E1, E2, and E3. So E2 and E3, here's the interesting part about this. So part for me, it's about the weight. Like, I'll be honest, I feel because of the whole mindset work I do, I've been able to power through feeling like shit. So that to me is going to be gravy, feeling better energetically and in my mind. And I'm used to the brain fog because for 20 years, basically, I've had a low thyroid and I've had the brain fog and I've had the weight gain and the brittle hair and the nails and all the shit that comes with it. And so that part for me will probably just be a gravy. But for the thing that I want the most is to be leaner and smaller, because my body doesn't feel like my own at this weight, no matter what I do. I can love it and I can do all the fucking affirmations that we talk about. But there's an integrity gap because I know it's not healthy to have this fat in the middle of my body. I just know that. And so I'm always trying to work to move it. And now I really have a very clear reason why it's never moved. And that is my hormones. So I wrote a bunch of notes and I'll just kind of read a few of them to you. And the purpose of this live is to tell you to go and get this test. I'm working with a woman. I'm hopeful that she will create some kind of package that's just for this tribe, so that you're not spending a full $2,000 and doing the whole program, because that's a stretch for a lot of people. I'm fortunate that I have the means to be able to do that, but I recognize that that's not everybody's situation. And this is so important that I want anyone to be able to do it. So I don't know what that looks like yet, but I am working with her. If she doesn't want to do it, because we need somebody to read it. It's one thing to go get the test, but it's another thing for somebody to be able to read it and then give you a protocol based on that. And I do know a couple other women in my Tony Robbins community that might be able to do it. So either way, this is something that's happening. If you're interested, please comment below that this is something that you're looking to do. And I'm going to tell you why I think it's so important. 2 reasons. I talked a little bit about the Tony Robbins stuff and the men in the industry. Men are on a 24-hour hormone clock. We are on a 28-day, give or take, hormone clock. So a man will, in the morning, it'll go up and it'll go all the way around. And by the next day, it's the same thing. We are doing this for a month. And so when we are conditioned as a society and told to just power through it, like Gary Vaynerchuk it through, right? Because I love him. But this is the thing. These are men. We can't listen to the guys talk to us about how we feel and how to power through, because my powering through could have been really a lot worse than this, because I powered through and I missed, and I didn't take this stuff as seriously as I needed. And now vanity is really what pushed me to do this, kind of. I did still want to know more about what my hormone panel is. So current situation, my cortisol, the range I think is between 60 and 200. And that, so there's the free cortisol, which is the cortisol that swims around in my body. Not what I'm producing, but what stays inside my body. So out of 200, it's 181. Like, I'm basically ready for a fight all day long, and there's no fight. Now, a lot of that is past trauma. One of my other daughters, she's just starting to release something called the Trauma Blueprint. Highly recommend it. I'll tag her in this post as well. But trauma has a huge, I've been under chronic stress for my whole life because, as some of you know, I did have a traumatic childhood. There was alcoholism in my family. There was physical abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse. So trauma all the way through my life. And so I've never turned off. And I guess intellectually I could tell you that, but I thought because of all the work I do, my mindset's good and I can go through it and it's fine and I can get into state and I can do all of those things. But there's also this time when we need to stop listening to the male counterparts and say, hold on a minute. Do I really want to power through this? Maybe I need to look at this. And that's what I've done. I'm perimenopausal. I already knew that. But it's nice to know that I can still have children. Not that I'm saying I want anymore, but my body still. So that makes me feel a bit better. My estrogen's elevated, as I mentioned. Progesterone is also elevated. So progesterone in me, I will have moments of really despair. And I can't explain it. There'll be nothing around me that's making me feel that way. But all of a sudden I will feel this doom and gloom type of feeling. Or sometimes I'll feel this crazy anxiety that doesn't make any sense. There's nothing to be anxious about. I'm not thinking about anything, but my body will just be like, you're going to be anxious now. So go ahead and be anxious now. And so that part of that is my estrogen being elevated and my progesterone. I have trouble calming down. So when my and this, I know I'm going way off the rails, but it's important. But when there's been a couple of things in my life that have been jarring to my body. So one was my father's passing. He passed away when I was 35. I think. No, sorry, 38. And the way he passed was, I got a phone call in the middle of the night. I didn't answer it. It was my little brother calling, and I didn't respond until the morning because I didn't hear the phone ringing. So I got up, and it was like 6 a.m, and my brother said, "Dad is gone." And it was so jarring. So my mindset went, "Oh, and I said the words, 'Oh, that's beautiful. Now he's with mom,' because my mom is also gone." But my body, it was like you punched me. And that feeling has never really gone away. And so again, it's important that we don't just power through this stuff. And this is the type of coach I am too, where I'm like, the conditioning is don't go back and dredge up the old shit. Okay, fair. I'm not going to live there. But if you don't honor the body and you don't honor the traumas and you don't honor the stress, it will compound, and you'll be in a situation that I'm in right now, which is very high cortisol, high progesterone. So this is the feel-good hormone that you'll get. I think, if I'm not mistaken, and if there's anyone who wants to correct me, feel free. I don't mind. But if it's after your period and when you start to ovulate, it starts to go up, and that's like that's a feel-good hormone, right? But too much of it, which is what I have. So you have low sex drive, irritability, and moody. And again, like, this is the thing. I think women, we write off those type of things as, oh, it's just a woman. And I really want to change this conversation, in particular with dads and daughters, where they're talking about PMS and they're talking about hormones and moodiness and all that type of way, like it's the Antichrist. Like, P.S., if we didn't go through all that, you literally would not be here on earth if we didn't go through all those things. And so even like, I have 4 daughters, and I tell their dad all the time, don't villainize PMS. Don't make fun of it. Just fucking zip it. Because we grow up to 44 and thinking, oh, this is just, it's not normal how severe I feel. And if you're feeling like this, find out if this is really, if your baseline and if everything's in range, or if it's out of whack. But we get told that we're supposed to feel bitchy. We're supposed to feel all this. Well, it's not true. Like, some of the time, sure, but not chronically tired, not chronically moody, not chronically, like, low sex drive. How the feminine divine is all about sex drive and sexiness and squishy and feeling all that stuff. And if my hormones are out of whack and I'm not feeling that, how deeply in my feminine am I going to go? I'm not. And I'll make every excuse in the book why it's the timing. No, my hormones are frigged right now. Of course I'm not feeling them. So my E1, so the first estrogen is fine. The second one is high, and the third one is high. And here's what freaks me out. I'm going to use that in the past tense because I've had the moment to get I got a bit wired about it, and I got a little panicked. I'm not going to lie, because my other shit's off, so I'm anxious. It's inflammation. And so if I don't correct the imbalance, eventually what will happen based on one of those markers is I will get, or could get, cancer of the endometrial lining, the uterus, the ovaries, all the feminine reproductive organs. That used breast cancer. So high estrogen, there's 3 markers. One of them needs, if it continues, it will start to damage my DNA, and then it will start to mutate, and then it will grow. And then that's when you see cancer. So here's why I'm so passionate about this, because I'm able to look at that and say, okay, that's in the future. If I don't make some radical changes in my lifestyle again, which I have done in the past, but not the right lifestyle. Like, I'm on a whole bunch of supplements now that are for 2 months that are going to help basically drain. We're calling it in our family Operation Drain the Bathtub, or empty the bathtub. Because basically what my body is doing is it's keeping all of the estrogen, progesterone, all of those things, and it's pooling in my body, and it's not leaving because I'm not supporting it with the right hormone or with the right supplements and the right food anymore. And so now that the protocol is, there's definitely some supplements. Let me tell you, I take a lot. Today was my first day of taking them. But I'm going to be having foods that are going to help drain the bathtub and lower my cortisol. And because everything is, and I can tell you, I feel this way. Like, I feel puffy and I feel like off. Like there's stuff in me that is not meant to be in me. And I'm very in tune with my body. We've been eating organic and doing all those things for 20 years. So I know when it's not feeling right, and it just feels like I'm trying to fit things in there that don't belong in there. I swear to you, that's what it feels like. So imagine if women could know 2 or 3 years before, and I'm not saying this is like the end all and the be all in prevention, but for me, it was like, oh, okay, so if I don't get this shit right now, then I'm looking at potentially getting some kind of female cancer down the road. That's not okay. And how many times do you think, like if a woman had this knowledge and had this information, if you had this knowledge and information, and I said to you, listen, if you keep doing this and not do that, you're going to eventually get cancer. Wouldn't you change immediately? Not everyone will. But this to me is like, this is like a test every woman should have on her hormones. Every one of them. Because if you know it, you can change it, right? Doesn't guarantee that anything's going to happen, but it certainly gives you a better chance to right the ship now. So what else? And I can tell you in the last day that I've been on these new supplements, maybe it's psychosomatic, I don't know. But I can tell you that I feel my psyche about it for sure is better. Like I'm feeling like, okay, I'm all I keep thinking is I picture a bathtub with all this shit that I don't need and draining it out of my body. When I'm doing a meditation, that's what I'm thinking about. So the liver. So this is the other thing. And again, like I'm not going to do even slightly as good a job as the program I'm in, but my liver has to work harder because I have no gallbladder. And so that's part of the other problem. Like everything kind of circles around the liver, and we tax it like crazy, but I don't have a gallbladder. So my gallbladder doesn't, by it not being there, my liver's working extra hard. So I have to detoxify the shit out of it, literally the shit out of it. But I feel so hopeful about this. And all of the things that I'm learning, about how all of it works together, which I kind of had like high level knowledge of, but now I feel like I have a much deeper level. To me, it's all this whole circle about, as women, making it okay to not hustle like crazy, making it okay to listen to your body, making it okay to recognize our hormones do not run like the men, making it okay to get tested, like finding a way where this is readily available to people. And I know that the lab took like a month and a half to get my results back because a lot of women are. And so that's good news. That means people or women are starting to figure it out. But this, to me, if you are at all interested in learning more about this, please let me know. If I have 20 of you or 30 of you who are interested in doing this, I know we can get her to figure out some kind of program that's more affordable, that's not quite as lengthy. If you are able to do the full program, let me know. I will definitely connect you with her. But this for me is like, I feel like finally I'll be able to come back, maybe for the first time, come back to myself hormonally, where I feel good inside. I have energy. Like you ask my family, like every day I'm exhausted. And my cortisol spikes at night, which is typically you'll see my content coming out at first thing in the morning and last thing at night, because that's when I spike my cortisol. And now I'm like, okay, I see it on paper. But I hope this was like helpful in some way to you. And I hope that if you're curious, you're going to move forward, because for me, this is like, I feel like I've just made a contract with myself to heal all the things inside. But now I'm about to take shit way next level, not just in my health, but I just think about how far I've come with like a quarter tank of gas. And now if I go full tank of gas, watch out. I'm so excited. So I love you guys. Thank you for watching, those of you who did. If you see this on the replay, please hashtag replay. And again, if you're interested, comment below, say interested. And I'm going to do my best to work this out for everybody, because I want every woman on the planet to have this test, period. Pun intended. Bye.